Hello, I am Brandon Matthews from the Australian Research Centre for Interactive and Virtual Environments at the University of South Australia. I am presenting our paper Adaptive Reset Techniques for Haptic Retargeted Interaction. Haptic retargeting enables the reuse of simple objects to provide passive haptic feedback in virtual reality. In previous work, we have explored this for remapping between physical and virtual interfaces. Say we have a single physical button on a real interface, but multiple virtual buttons on a virtual interface. We can introduce an offset between the user's real hand and the virtual hand they see, such that they operate any of the virtual buttons while actually operating the physical button in the real world, providing this realistic feedback. Within a previously determined range of angular and translational gain, this retargeting can remain entirely undetectable to the user. To realign the virtual hand with the user's real hand, a reset operation is required in which the user returns their hand to the origin. Changing the virtual interaction target without the reset action would cause the hand to instantly jump toward the new target, breaking this illusion. The motivation of this research is to reduce the impact of reset actions on interactions using haptic retargeting, and where possible, to remove the reset interactions and provide continuous haptic retargeting. We also explore the implications of our methods for a remapped physical virtual interface system. On-the-fly haptic retargeting, developed by Cheng et al., enables the user's target to change during their initial movement before their hand gets too close to the target. Reset actions in previous haptic retargeting and hand redirection systems have included a physical button near the user, moving the hand behind an infinite plane between the user and targets, or beyond a given distance from the target. Alternatively, Zhao and Fulmer's continuous redirection implementation does not need a reset, and this is achieved by pre-computing a continuous warp field. However, this technique only supports redirection between different physical targets. We developed a set of adaptive reset techniques that adapt to the user's interactions to minimize the amount of movement required to complete the reset. When moving from one virtual target to another virtual target that each share the same physical target, a reset is always required. However, this reset position can be adjusted to minimize the amount of movement required while also keeping the gain below detectable or tolerable thresholds. Where the physical target is different for two virtual targets, the reset can be skipped if the angular and translational gain are below acceptable or detectable thresholds. Inspired by previous reset actions, we devised three general reset techniques: point, threshold, and touch. For each technique, we implemented both a static and an adaptive variant. In the static point technique, the reset is a point in space placed a fixed distance from the midpoint between the current and next targets. In the adaptive variant, the distance can change and is always the lowest distance at which the angular and translational gain are below a given limit. The reset is skipped if they are already below the limit. In the static threshold technique, the reset is an infinite plane placed a fixed distance from the targets. For the adaptive variant, the distance is calculated using the same method as the adaptive point technique, and the reset is skipped where possible. The touch technique differs from the other methods in that instead of movement away from the targets, the reset is completed by interacting with a co-located pair of physical and virtual targets, effectively aligning the hands through completion of a similar interaction to the others in the sequence. In the static variant, this is always one co-located pair that is designated as the reset. In the adaptive variant, every co-located pair is considered as an option, and the selected pair is the one that provides the least angular and translational gain. As with the other adaptive variants, the reset is skipped if the gain is below the given limit. To understand the effect of adaptive reset techniques on task performance and usability, we conducted a user evaluation of the three techniques and their static and adaptive variants. We recruited 30 participants and measured a range of quantitative performance metrics, as well as system usability through the system usability scale, and 2 additional questions on the perceived accuracy of hand position and movement. For our study, we constructed a physical interface with 5 tactile buttons and used capacitive sensor pads to detect cases where the participant missed the physical button. The virtual interface consisted of 32 buttons in 2 rings, with 4 of the physical buttons aligned with 4 of the virtual buttons on the inner ring. Participants wore an HTC Vive Pro and hand tracking was provided through a Leap Motion device. Participants completed 3 sequences of 32 interactions in a random order until all buttons had been pressed. A reset interaction was performed between each button press, except where it was not required in the adaptive conditions. Analysis of the quantitative measures showed the lowest task completion time for the threshold technique, with the adaptive threshold and point each significantly faster than their static counterparts. The rate of misses was significantly higher for touch than the other methods, which is likely due to both the angular and translational gain being higher for some interactions, and the proximity of the hand to the interface during the interactions. Excess travel was significantly lower for point than any other method, and this coupled with a low rate of misses indicates participants were the most precise with the point technique. Movement speed was significantly lower for touch than other methods, and the highest in the static threshold condition. Participants tended to retract their hand quickly to complete the reset, often overshooting and moving further than required. This is supported by the excess travel analysis, which showed adaptive threshold result is the highest excess travel, with participants retracting their hand well beyond the required reset distance. No significant differences were found in our questions around perceived hand movement and position accuracy. An analysis of the system usability scale showed significantly higher usability for threshold over touch, but no other significant differences. In conclusion, we developed a set of adaptive reset techniques for haptic retargeting. The adaptive point and threshold techniques in particular can reduce the time and movement required to complete the reset. In some cases, the reset can be skipped or integrated into the interaction sequence using our touch technique, creating a more natural user experience. Thank you for listening, and please feel free to contact me for more information.